शरीरं सुरूपं तथा वा कळत्रम् यशश्चारुचित्रं धनं मेरुतुल्यम् गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे मनश्चेन्न लग्नम्
Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram. The world, as we know, is a world of polarity. Rich and poor, the learned and the ignorant, the weak and the strong, etc. We also have another kind of polarity. Those who have heard about Shankaracharya and those who have not. Those who are for Shankaracharya and those who are against. Well, this polarity. But for the last few centuries, there is a distinct shift in the polarity. There are more people reading about Shankaracharya, knowing about him, and knowing the philosophy and that wonderful contribution that he has made to the world of spiritual and metaphysical and philosophical thought. His contributions are staggering. It's amazing that at this young age, he could erect a philosophy like this, which is the dismay of even today, the greatest of minds. It needs a very subtle intellect to understand Shankaracharya. Imagine. We have today a growing need for his philosophy. There are a couple of reasons, 4 reasons. One is the rise of knowledge of all kinds, diverse kinds. We lump it like science. And it is exploding. There has to have some connection between one and the other. And this philosophy can act as a kind of a basis or harmonizing because it's a science of consciousness. We have on the other side the world of religions with their disputes and disagreements, their old worldviews, which are not relevant in today's world. Here, Advaita Vedanta can come as a harmonizing factor. The rise of complex living and complex cities and complex human behavior is bringing in a lot of problems on the mental level. People are fragmenting, cracking up with just a little stress. People have not understood what is the goal or the meaning of life. And on the individual level, we have people who are looking for a kind of an orientation towards the greater life, towards truth, towards happiness, and towards stability. Here also, these 4 factors can be harmonized with Advaita Vedanta. So this is the tremendous scope, there's a tremendous possibility in today's world for Advaita Vedanta. I remember long ago as a young boy, I had seen Kedarnath, the memorial beside the temple, and there was a white wall, slightly curved, and a hand, rather an arm, holding the danda, the staff. And immediately the idea leaped upon me. Shankaracharya is so clear. Just that symbolic representation gave me the idea. Today also, when people hear the word Shankaracharya, the idea just leaps into the mind of the tremendous contributions that Shankaracharya had done for the world and the world was waiting for it. A long time ago, I also remember traveling somewhere and being challenged by a few people. And they then kept on telling me, oh, he's a Mayavadi sannyasi. Don't listen to him. I told him, I'm not a Mayavadi sannyasi. I'm a Brahmavadi sannyasi. And that silenced him. Why has all the philosophies or the darshanas in India and even the other world have any kind of dispute with Vedanta? There isn't. Everyone believes in the divinity of the soul, in Ishvara as the Upadan and Nimitta Karan, of Ishvara's Pratyaksha as moksha, in samsara, in karma. All these are common features. However, yes, there is a distinguishing feature in Advaita Vedanta, and that is it takes the whole experience, the human experience, and explains it to explain Advaita Vedanta. The first experience is of yourself. You know yourself. You don't doubt yourself. Otherwise, you'll be the doubter of your doubt. It is the most self-evident fact in your consciousness. You, the very I that is there. And this I is known. It is I that was yesterday and today and will be there tomorrow. But is this sufficient? No. That is the starting point of Advaita Vedanta. We know the astitva, the existence of this identity, but we do not know the swarupa, the real nature of this astitva. And for that, we need to go to the Upanishads. Because in the Upanishads, we find that this reality, the swarupa of your own self, has been clearly delineated. It does not depend on logic. It is nothing but a paroksha anubhuti. This study of the Upanishads is paroksha. It will lead us to that anubhuti, when one will know one's real self as it is. The astitva of oneself is not disputed. Yeah. If it was objective, we can dispute it, but it is subjective, the astitva. And this subjective also feeling of astitva is disputed because of what its real nature is. If the real nature was a direct cognition, we could understand or see it as it is, then there would have been no dispute. But there is a dispute between the various philosophies. Some say it is Vibhu, some say it is Anu, some say it is not there, some say it is there. So that's the reason why Shankaracharya based his doctrine on the Upanishads. This is indisputable because these are the Vedas. Now, the astitva also, if this astitva was kind of demonstrated for us, that from this body it goes to the next body, then the Buddhist and the Charvakas, that materialist, would not be disputing us, because even the astitva is not fully known. The swarupa is completely unknown. This is the place where Shankaracharya builds his philosophy on the Upanishads. This is the topic on Sat Chit Ananda. And as we know, this Sat Chit Ananda, this word itself has become so popular everywhere. And people are using it in without really knowing its implication. The Satchidananda, Brahman, Sat and Chit and Ananda. It holds the key to human welfare and human elevation and human freedom. It is nothing but the name of reality. Now, Sat, in the Brahma Sutra, we find Shankaracharya bringing out the philosophy of Sat and Chit and Ananda step by step. They're saying Tattu Samanvayat. In the Brahma Sutra, in the first chapter, Samanvaya, he speaks of Tattu Samanvayat. So the translation is, but that Brahman is known from the Upanishads, it being the object of this fullest import, as Sadeva Somya Idamagra Asid. So Sad, this is what it proves that the origin, the first impulse, everything starts from Sat, from existence. That is the first thing that we have known about ourselves and the world and everything around. Existence. It hits you tremendously. If this idea of existence wasn't there, this world would be a very dark place. We don't know what it would be. Human life would be a kind of a blanks. It's just impossible to conceive of this world as without existence. So Tattu Samanvayat means this, that everything starts with this. It is the background, the reality, the truth. The second sutra in the Brahma Sutra is Ikshanerna Shabdham. The Pradhana of the Sankyas is not the cause of the universe, because it is not mentioned in the Upanishads, which fact is clear from the act of seeing. Like Ekoham Bhavishyama, Ikshara. So Ikshara, that is Chit, that is consciousness. Again, the original impulse is but Chit. It is the consciousness that is there involved in the process of everything that we see around. And then the third is Anandamaya Abhyasat. The repetition of the blissful one is the Supreme Self on account of repetition. Vijnanam, Anandam, Brahma. This is. In the Chit also we have Imani Bhutani Jayante Yena Jatani Jivanti. So here we have these three, the Sat, the Chit and the Ananda. Existence, consciousness and bliss. These are not three qualities. These are not three factors. The same Sat is Chit. The same Chit is Ananda. Because there is a unity. It is unified. So when we say Sat and Chit and Ananda, it does not mean these are qualities of Brahman. They are the very essence. It is what Brahman is. Now, when we want to understand this, there is also the idea that there is something called Tatastha Lakshana and Kutastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana is what we find in this world has emanated from that supreme being. Urdhvamulam adashakam esho ashvatta sanatana, etc. Tadeva shukram tad brahma. So its roots are that Brahman. So here we have a chinnam, a lingam, a representation. So this whole process is this Tatastha Lakshana. Kutastha Lakshana is nothing but Swarupa Lakshana. When a sadhaka or one who wants to understand the Vedanta, he or she will have to go through this Swarupa Lakshana, you can say Upadesha. There is also something called Jiva Brahma Aikya Upadesha or Jiva Brahma Aikya Vakyas in the Upanishads. All that we find that Ayam Atma Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, these are some of the examples. We have something also when we study the scriptures, the Vidhi and the Arthavad have to be removed off. You don't need that. So when we keep on reading this, the sadhaka, the aspirant, has to use the Upanishadic terms, Upanishadic teachings for Shravana and then Manana and then plunge deep into and become Nididhyasana. So these are the processes of arriving at Brahma at Sat and Chit and Ananda. There are also other Vakyas, teachings, where it is like, no, Brahma Itara is saying there is no other thing other than Brahman. But it is described negatively as Neti, Neti, not this, not this. Na Rasva, na Dirga, na Lohita, na Sneha, na Chaya. That Brahman is neither this nor that. All distinguishing features of Brahman are eradicated. And as they are eradicated, we come down to that real nature. But how is it known? It is said in the Vivek Chodamani, Hridhi kalayati vidvan brahma purnam samadho. The intelligent one realizes in his own heart, through samadhi, that purna Brahma, that infinite Brahman. So here it is an experience. The solidity or the evidence of Advaita Vedanta, Shankara's Advaita Vedanta, is in its experience. And it has for thousands and thousands and thousands of years has been experimented on and experienced by countless great souls. So it is in the experience. It is not simply a philosophy that is catering to the intellect. It is a philosophy that's going to change the way we look at ourselves and the way we look at us and the world. As we keep on understanding ourselves, we will understand more of this world. The underlying reality is that Supreme Brahman, which is called Satchidananda. In this age, this positive explanation of the reality is necessary because, as Swami Vivekananda, one of the greatest exponents of Advaita Vedanta, has made it abundantly clear, Advaita Vedanta preaches the divinity of the soul, the divinity of life, and the divinity of all things. It is a preaching of divinity. So it is the positive side of Advaita Vedanta that is necessary in today's age. The extreme subjective side of Vedanta. For example, we have the Buddhist who deny the Vyavharika completely. Advaita Vedanta denies this reality on the Paramarthika. The Shanika Vigyanvadis, they dismiss everything as unreal. Advaita Vedanta says it is apparently, you can say, unreal. So here we have the subtle distinctions. We have this philosophy, this Advaita Vedanta, which is going to transform the world, transform human thought, and transform lives, has to be brought out in positive terms. And the most positive term of this reality is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Knowledge, consciousness is always blissful, has to be. And that which is existence is consciousness. Now, this reality, as we know, is us. We do not need to go outside of ourselves for proof. It is the Astitva, it is the Swarupa. It not only of yourself, but of everything around. On this platform of sanity, can human life become grand? Mysticism will be there for everyone. Everyone is heir to this great teaching of Shankaracharya. From the 8th century till now, it took so long, more than 1200 years, for the world to even become ready to grasp the subtle thought of Shankaracharya. He was so far ahead of his time. It's not just far ahead of his time. He is there for all times. Maybe 10,000 years even after now, we will have Shankaracharya as dominant, as relevant, as more needed than ever for our lives, for this world. We can combine all our philosophies, all our sciences, all our lives into this grand unifying principle of Advaita Vedanta. Shankaracharya, by his short life, remarkable contribution he has done. When everything else has gone, we will have Shankaracharya there with his philosophy, shining as a beacon light for all people of all times, of all classes and all sects. People have also, those who have challenged Advaita Vedanta or those who have encountered Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, they have taken a little of Advaita doctrines in them. So that is the reason why today we find this Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, being spoken of, maybe not in those particular words, but the ideas have percolated everywhere. Everywhere it is, people are searching for consciousness. And people, that is what Chit. People want to know what is existence. That is Sat. And existence and consciousness for so long was thought to be kind of neutral, dry, empty. No, it is bliss. Every experience gives us bliss, as we know. And this bliss is the bliss of Brahman. Vijnanam, Anandam, Brahma. So this is the Sat and Chit, Ananda. This is your own Swarup. It is beyond the Astitva, the little limited self-evident I that you know. Beyond that is your Swarupa. It is because of a veil of Maya, or ignorance, or avidya, that we can't understand it, grasp it. Swami Vivekananda says, how long does it take for you to understand that you are that? A blink of an eye. As we proceed, this reality, which is always shining, it is always called What is the evidence of this Swarupa? It is Swayam Prakasha. It is constantly self-illuminated, self-evident within ourselves. It does not need any kind of other proof. This Swayam Prakashatva is the proof of all the Vedas and the Upanishads and everything. This Swayam Prakashatva of Satchidananda is the proof of everything around that you experience and you see and you hear and know and think and talk about. It is always there within you. Hridhi kalayati vidwan brahma purnam samadho. In that depth of your being is that Brahman, which is that one which has become the all. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.